Hello, my name's Justin Purser. I'm out in a Nebbiolo Vineyard today, and I thought I'd just talk to you a little bit about some of the things I'm looking at and some of the differences between the vines. I've got my mate here, Spothead, who's going to give us a bit of I think that's his mum over there. He's going to give us a bit of musical accompaniment. So we have here, this is all Nebbiolo, and it's planted on 420A rootstock. The clone of Nebbiolo is a mixture, but these vines you can see here are all Mat 3, which is regarded as a good clone. It typically has medium to large bunches with smallish berries, so it gets good concentration of flavour. And you can see on this vine here, let's look at this vine in particular. So this is the end of the shoot here, you can see, and we've got two bunches on that shoot there. Another bunch here, another bunch and a half there, one there, couple here, and then the final bunch is this one here. We're looking at that bunch comes off the next vine. So we've got about 10 bunches on this vine, which is about right for a Nebbiolo. We should be able to get some good flavour on this with that sort of level. Nebbiolo is notorious for producing very large bunches, sometimes, you know, half a kilo, but this one here, you can see the size of my hand, probably about a 200 or 300 gram bunch. I'm also looking at any signs of powdery. There's some signs that maybe there's been some early powdery. I've been keeping the sulfur up every 10 days. You can see there's still some, not sure if you can see that, still some residue on the leaves. I'll see if I can find a better example, but you know, when you're looking at it close, you can see the residue of the spray. So that's just a bit of a sulfur copper spray that's been sprayed on about 10 days ago. And you can see here the vine's looking pretty healthy. We've still got some growth. The way you check is you look at your tips, and if your last two leaves don't fold over your last leaf, they're still growing. Whereas I find something that may have stopped growing, for example, this is a bit slower, but it's still growing there. The last two leaves haven't overlapped the final leaf. This one looks as though it's stopped growing, so that looks like a lateral shoot anyway. You can see those last two leaves there. If I squeeze them together, they've overlapped that tip point, so it's just stopped growing. So, but it's really important with these new growth that I put more spray on. So that's what we'll be doing later on today. Anyway, the other thing I was going to mention to you is what we've got here is a different clone. So it's the same rootstock, so it's 420. You can see there's the graft union there, so that's 420 A, which is an American rootstock, which is good for high potassium because it typically excludes high potassium. These soils, this red soil here at Beechworth is typically high in potassium, so that's something we've got to be careful of. And this pH has been adjusted, so normally in Australia we have low pH soil, but with the addition of lime the pH is about neutral here, or slightly lower. And then you can see here that this is the clone that's been put on top. So these vines are about 12 years old, so you can see the vigour there. I think this is, 2011 they were planted, so 13 years old. But you know, there's a good amount of vigour there for the rootstock, but you know, 420A is not regarded as a super vigorous variety. It's good for this climate, which is a little bit humid as well, but it can deal with a little bit of drought as well. So it's a good, useful rootstock. So yeah, so this is Mat 3, this one here, and this is Mat 7, which, I mean, you can see there's very little difference in the bunch. They do talk about wings, so you can see there, it's kind of a wing, I suppose, coming off that bunch, and there's less of a wing. Oh, there's still a wing there, so they're very similar. Sort of, you know, that's the Mat 3, that's Mat 7. Mat 7's a highly regarded clone. They're both Lampia, so there's, you know, in Italy they talk about Lampia rosé and Michette. Michette is actually believed to be a virus form of Lampia. Anyway, the rosé has bigger bunches, bigger berries and less colour, but this vineyard doesn't have any rosé in it. It's just got Mat 3, Mat 4, Mat 7, Mat 8 and 230. Anyway, you can have a look at that. I just wanted to show you this vine, which is a good example of apical dominance. So these vines have been arch cane. So this is the cane, so this is last year's shoot. It's been arched down, so it goes over this wire and down onto the fruit wire there. And you can see here that, you know, there's not much bigger in some of these shoots that have come up. So they're pretty brittle, and because it always wants to go from the tip. And then you look at the last bud that's shot, and the vigor of this thing is just crazy. It's got heaps of laterals coming out. Like that's one lateral, that's a lateral, which is like bigger than some of the primary shoots, and it just keeps going. This is still the same shoot back here. It's sort of tucked in the canopy there. Still going, still going, still going. And you can see here it's been cut off. And there we go. See there? It's just been cut off there. So look, and you can see how this is a lateral shoot, right? And look how long it is. It's like, you know, nearly a metre long, and that's a lateral shoot. So when we cut these shoots off, you can see, and that, you know, how vigorous some of these subsequent shoots can get. Like this one's pretty much lignified, and that's a lateral shoot. And that's because even though it's grown like, you know, sort of 4 metres into the other canopy, and it obviously was dragging over the side, got cut off, it's just throwing all these laterals. So it just wants to hit from the top. So it's quite a difficult thing to manage in the vineyard. Sometimes arch caning is not the answer. So we'll do a few trials next year and see what we can come up with.